Sehotjafo Jason Campbell, Choctaw Nation Featured Program at Toxalili. Hello, my name is Jason Campbell, and I work for the Choctaw Nation STAR program, as well as several other education programs. It is a great honor for me to have this opportunity to speak with Mr. James Parrish, Executive Director of the Choctaw Anunpa program, and as well as Dr. Bruce King, Executive Director of the Native American Institute at Southeastern Oklahoma State University. I ask for the opportunity to speak to you today to talk about the importance of native language preservation. But before I do that, I would like to ask you a question. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to wake up tomorrow and we could no longer have the ability to communicate in English? I don't know about you, but I believe it would be devastating to us all. If you will consider this hypothetical scenario for a moment, I think you will soon realize that the English language is the tie that binds us together as Americans. I know that both of you are lifelong educators, and you realize the importance of education and the English language. The reason I have asked you both here today is because of a concern, a deep concern that I have, and is very personal to me. I hope that it will be vitally important to you as well. It is the rapid dissolution of our native languages among all tribes across the nation. It concern stems from the numerous expert sources that indicate the rapid extinction of Native American languages. I have worked for the Choctaw Nation for 20 years, and I grew up around the tribal government as my mother worked for the tribe during my youth. Even though I have been familiar with the tribal government and programs for many years, I did not grow up in a family where I was immersed in the native culture and language. I am not proud of this fact, but I suspect that I am not alone, and that many other Native Americans feel this way or have felt this way at some point in their lives. The two of you might be asking, Jason, what does this have to do with me? I want to give each of you and your organizations credit for piquing my interest about my history, culture, and language. It was just a few years ago that I began to realize the benefits and pride of learning and practicing cultural activities such as social dancing, language classes, history, and genealogy. Initially, the Choctaw Nation was instrumental in my involvement in these activities through opportunities designed to promote cultural preservation. I can't give the Choctaw Nation all the credit, though, for igniting my interest in the aforementioned topic. The master's degree in Native American leadership also played a vital role in evolving my mindset about my culture into a passionate dedication to do all that I can to preserve the one thing that stands above all else, our native tongue. Dr. King, I have learned more than I could ever have imagined over the last 2 years. When I graduate on December 10th, my energy will transition from my graduate degree to a renewed focus on my Choctaw language. I am proposing that the Native American Institute and the Choctaw School of Language collaborate on a concept of implementing a course that will focus on the history and importance of native languages. It is my desire that this course for the master's program in Native American leadership, it is my desire that this proposed course be counted as an accredited course for the master's in Native American leadership. My graduate degree has opened my eyes to many things regarding Native American history and culture, but I believe that a substantial investment should be made in educating students about the very real possibility of all native languages becoming extinct in the near future. I know that this degree is one of the most sought after on the campus of Southeastern, and this is a great opportunity to communicate to our students the value that native languages possessed for our ancestors, the importance of trying to preserve them, and the damage that comes to societies that lose their native tongues. When I began speaking today, I asked you to imagine that suddenly we could no longer speak English. Have you tried to imagine what would be lost if this really happened? I think initially you might have thought about your family and friends and how you would be greatly challenged in communicating with them about your thoughts and desires. How would you discuss important experiences that made you feel happy, sad, excited, scared, angry, or disgusted? After further consideration, you might realize that your identity as an American would be stripped. I believe that the loss of identity is what has happened to our Native communities when missionaries and boarding schools made it their goal to eradicate Native languages through assimilation policies. Many things have contributed to the downward spiral. For our first Americans, which have led to depression, abuse of drugs and alcohol, poverty, and high incarceration rates. I am a firm believer that when a person doesn't know who they are and where they come from, they will struggle through life and the cycle continues with their children. You might ask, why can't they replace their native language with English and move forward? During visits with several elderly fluent speakers over the years, they have stressed to me that we can't do that. Our native languages are what separates us from everyone else and makes us unique in a world where everyone is trying to fit into the mainstream. It is not as simple as replacing native words with English words. Most native words were created from experiences and the environment. Therefore, many native words and phrases cannot be translated. Freddie Bowles from the University of Arkansas stated that when a language is lost, we lose a piece of our cultural heritage, and we lose a piece of ourselves. She also stated that there is never a perfect translation of lore and history. Language shapes our thoughts and creates our worldview, so it's important to people's identity. One Native elder stated that some Native people believe that not only was language given to us so that we can communicate with each other, but with the higher power as well. It is estimated that all surviving Native languages are severely endangered. More than 90% of Native languages at risk of becoming extinct by 2050. There are only 139 spoken languages still in existence today, with 70 of those due to be extinct in the next 20 years unless a serious intervention is implemented. I would argue that these statistics demonstrate that tribal nations are in a state of emergency. Tribal leaders have stated that if we lose our language, we are at threat of losing our tribal sovereignty. If we lose our sovereignty, it is possible that we will no longer have a tribal government. If we don't have a tribal government, we will not be able to serve our tribal members. I think that Mr. Parrish would agree that a tremendous amount of progress has been made since the implementation of the Choctaw Language Program in 2001. There are thousands of students each year that enroll in the beginner course. And while this is encouraging, the impact will never reach its full potential until we offer a course that tells the story of Native languages. We must help graduate students recognize the historical value of Native languages and why they are still important today and in the future. The Choctaw Nation has paved the way for the sustainability for the Choctaw language in the public schools within the Choctaw Nation. More should be done at the college and graduate level. I have been impressed with the number of my classmates from across the country that are members of tribal nations. By implementing this course, we can ensure that these individuals realize the importance of preserving these valuable languages nationally. I feel confident that some of these people will commit themselves to learning their native tongue. As an alum of Southeastern, I would love to see my alma mater take on a leadership role in the preservation of the identity of our first Americans. I believe that President Burridge and Chief Batten would be proud and honored to support an initiative such as this, and I hope that I have earned your support. I know that this would leave a legacy of which we could all be proud. So with that, I just want to say Yakoki Chito, which means big thank you. Thank you for your time.